Hey guys, it's your boy Mar,
Live and direct is Sprint Ravers.
This is Helton.
and this is the Need to Know. All right, so today we are having our guy. Listen, it's getting better. Okay. All right, so today we are doing our season annual guys talk. We got Serena on the side. I think she wants to ask a question before we.
I don't have a question right now.
Oh, it's like in the middle.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Serena will jump in the middle.
Randomly.
She's not on camera, but she's behind. So we have two very special guests, one recurring, one new. All right. So today we are talking toxic masculinity. It's one of the biggest topics, I think, for men in general, just because one, it's not really talked about that much, and two, every man has gone through it at some point in time, if they're not going through it today. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what is masculinity to you? Not toxic masculinity, but like, what is masculinity in general, like as a whole?
Well, in today's generation, basically having the upper hand, feeling like you have the power, you run shit.
Mm-hmm.
I run this. You know what I'm saying? That's what I feel like masculinity has become today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to be honest, like some people get carried away with it,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess they don't want to lose their reputation, so they follow the generic standard of, yeah, like I'm the man,
Mm-hmm.
I'm that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I feel like it is today.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I think it's similar to that, but more so like on a protective side, more so on a provider side.
Right.
Masculinity today, I feel like you don't feel like you're a man if you don't have the resources to provide for whatever you want to take care of, whether that's your family, your children, or whatever, or yourself, as a matter of fact.
Right. Yeah, I think to piggyback on that too, I think to me masculinity represents like strength, like being solid and strong in whatever you believe in. So that could be in terms of finances, that could be in terms of being protective, making sure everybody's okay. Like I feel like I don't want to like go into the norm, but I feel like the one thing I can agree with that society kind of puts on men is to be the leader in a sense. Like, and I'm not saying like women can't lead. I just feel like when it comes to masculinity, like that's in a man's nature to like be that, like, not, I don't know how to word it, but like not be macho, but more like be the front runner. Like when somebody sees your family, who's the first person they see? Like, in my opinion, it should be you. Like, because you are the one that like, creates. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
all right.
I get what you mean.
Yeah,
like as a man, like if you're growing up and then you're the only boy in the house, it's almost like there's a different set of responsibility for you.
Right.
When you're trying to, basically when it comes to who's gonna do this, who's gonna go to the dangerous part of the area and get the groceries, or who's gonna put themselves at risk. It feels like it's always, the guy, he has to take charge, and regardless of whether or not he's scared also, it's like more so you're seen as you have to take the lead and in any type of situation.
Right. Okay. So now moving on to the topic we're talking about, where do you guys feel like toxic masculinity stems from?
To be honest, I don't even know where it stems from. I just feel like people pick these type of behaviors up from their surroundings. For example, like a ghetto household, they tend to like pick up, behaviors from their dad. I don't, me personally, I don't know where it stems from. It's just what I see, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, for example, a guy tells his girl, "Oh, you're not wearing that out to the party. You not wearing that." Like it comes from a sense of insecurity that is created in that household, probably from the dad. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I don't know where it stems from. I feel like it's just picked up.
I think it stems from like history. Sort of like back in the day, when it was just all about strength and power, the men were the one that were running shit because they're stronger. they're going to hunt and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that carried over through like wars. Men went to war. It's the same concept. It was all about physicality. And as society started to become more mature and like evolve, it's kind of like the toxicity comes in when men don't want to give up that power. Like, okay, like women were like, listen, we're equal to you. We're no longer in a position where we have to depend on you to protect us because we've established laws and police and all this bullshit. So we don't need you to provide for us. We're independent. And
Right.
men are trying to basically fight against that. And I think that's where toxicity comes in. You don't want to give up that power.
Right.
And that's where it comes in where, oh, you're not going outside wearing that because I have power over you. And to other men, if they see you like that and they're also toxic, they're going to think no one has power over this woman because she's dressed up like this. And that's where all the whole concept of alpha male comes in. It's like, oh, he's not an alpha because his woman is dressing up like this. How can he let her do that when it's
Right,
actually like she dresses how she wants?
Right.
That traces back to what I said about reputation. They have a reputation. They don't want to lose it.
Right.
So they do whatever they can.
Yeah.
Because I feel like men want to be seen as like you said, like the alpha male. Like I don't want to be seen weak to other men because if I allow my girl to go out and dress, I don't want to say slutty, but like, you know what I'm saying? Things is out, like titties is hanging, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like dang, that's not your woman. Like control that. But like that's where the toxic masculinity comes from. I think it doesn't come from a man within. I think it comes from other men portraying this concept to that man. So it's like you said, like men, when it comes to my woman dressing, like I don't mind what she wears. It's just the first thing I think about when she wears something that's like revealing is what is another man gonna try to do because she's wearing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm not worried about her looking nice. Of course, like you dressing good, but it's like the moment you step out this door, I already know there's gonna be like 100 guys trying to talk to you just because you're dressed that way, or like because your body is out. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like what Sprint said, it's about an insecurity. Like I'm not trying to lose you. Or I don't want to be seen as like, oh, he can't control his woman because
Right.
she's independent or she wants to dress a certain way. But it's like, and I feel like a lot of guys, like there's times where we don't want to say it, but it's like we feel like we have to. Like I'm not saying it because I think you look crazy or anything. I'm saying it because I have to say it. Like I feel like I have to say it because if I don't, it's like, am I in control of this relationship? Which is not true, but it's just like I feel like that's what a lot of men go towards. Like, am I in control? Like, have I lost control because she's going out looking, you know, her titties is out, her ass is out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
It's kind of like I think another thing, like we mentioned power and power over, is kind of like also the sexual component of men. Like we're very sex driven. So that's exactly why we don't kind of like, we're hesitant to like, oh, if your girl's dressed up a certain way going out, you're like, damn, I know I'm sex driven. I know all men are, or most straight men are sex driven. So this is why my insecurity from that, knowing that a guy might approach you, I want to have some power and decrease the options of what could happen. And how I see that is by you dressing up and hiding them titties and them booty and all that.
right.
So it's like, hide your titties, hide that booty because I'm
Right.
insecure. Like it's tough. It's tough.
Question. Okay. So why are you guys aware of your insecurities in terms of that? In terms of like women showing off their body, because in reality, no, because for real, like in reality, you really have no right to tell her anything because that's her body. Just like it's your body. Say for instance, you're saying, oh well, you go to the gym, you work out, you're buff for a reason. You know, you look good. You want to look this way. So just like women would do the same thing.
Right.
Like it's the same thing. it's literally the same thing. So it's like, so I'm pretty sure she would feel insecure the same in that same aspect if her man is going outside and he has his shirt off and he's showing his muscles and he's showing his body and his abs and stuff like that. So are you aware of your insecurity in terms of that? Because it is an insecurity. Like, it's like, oh, I'm not confident to be like, oh, my woman is going to go outside but still going to come back to me and ignore that this person. And even if she does say something, it's like, okay, I'm commenting, but I'm not what's the word, I'm not initiating anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I believe I'm pretty aware of it. I think before I struggled with it a lot just because it was like I feel like it stemmed from me just feeling like, oh, she's out of my league, so it's like any guy at some point would take her. So if I don't assert some form of dominance, I'm gonna lose her even in that facet. I think now I'm like a lot more comfortable with what she wears because at the end of the day, like, it's all about trust for me. Like, if I trust you, I know nothing's gonna happen. And even if something does happen, and shout out to Serena who actually put me onto this. Like, I'm not in control of what you do. I'm only in control of what I do. And so, like, worst come to worst, like, you could cheat on me, you could sleep with somebody else, you could flirt with somebody else, but it's like at the end of the day, I can't control that. Like, it's gonna be it's really upsetting. Like, you don't want it to happen, but it's like the inevitable is going to happen, no matter how much you try to stop it. So even if it's just like a simple dress that's revealing, it's like if she cheats on you with that, then how do you not? Or if you stop that from happening, it's like just her intent of cheating on you is like, it's not about the dress, it's about her intentions. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, when it comes to a lot of men, I understand where they're coming from, but I think we need to change the attitude of, oh, she can't wear that outside. Like, yes, she can. And that's the reason why she bought it.
To piggyback on what you said about trust does play a factor in this whole scenario. I mean, me personally, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I never got in this situation where I had to like tell a girl, oh, you not wearing that. However, the role was reversed. See, I work out, right? And I think it's the whole gray sweatsuit thing that kind of triggered everything.
That thing is played out.
Piggyback.
That makes no sense.
Let me know, like, it's the whole gray sweatsuit thing.
Yeah.
Oh, why you wearing this gray sweatsuit? Who you trying to impress?
Yeah.
Yo, my mama want to look good. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. I just want to represent myself. You know what I'm saying? I like to look good. You know what I mean? But again, me, like, I don't really see myself, telling my girl what to wear. You want to look good? All right, you want to look good. I respect that. Yes, I do think about, okay, yeah, it's possible that these things can happen because these stories are true where you have women being sexually harassed or raped or whatever. So, I just pray that, my woman comes back home safe. That's it,
Amen.
Oh.
Amen.
So it's more of a safety measure than insecurity.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it should be. It should be a safety measure,
Right.
Yeah. I agree with both points. It's definitely trust, and just having that established relationship of, hey, you could do whatever you want. We're all adults here. Yeah, and I've never been in a situation where I've tried to stop my girl from wearing something outside. It's really trust. Like, at the end of the day, you trust your partner. There's going to be times where you're not going to be there, and like, you can't control everything or every aspect of it. You have to deal with your own insecurity, trust your partner, and if things go wrong, then things go wrong. That's an isolated situation. Don't carry your baggage on to the next.
Right. Okay. I like that answer. So to piggyback off, because I know majority of like the last question had to deal with women. So seeing that this is a guys talk, do you guys feel like women play a big part in not toxic masculinity, but the social norm of a man having to be a man?
Oh, man, a man can't even cry. Like, I feel like some women tend to like judge a man for expressing his emotions, which pushes that man to not be emotional.
Right.
And then some women get pressed off of that, like, oh, you're not expressive, Ray. But it's like, the man is afraid that they'll be judged.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And they don't want to be judged.
Right.
So I think that's why, some men tend to like be closed off because, the woman expects the man to be tough. Like, what you crying in the corner for? Be a man. Man up, man up.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's a lot of different factors that contribute into that component. I guess in regards to women, I think like on both sides there's like confusion on what it is to be a man. Like on the guy side, there's a lot of different ways to go about it, and there's no real rule book. And I think for women, it's more so sometimes they can impose their needs of what they want their ideal man to be into their partner, rather than just accepting their partner as their partner is. Like, and I think in today's society, I think money really is the biggest, I guess, one of the biggest components of like being a man or feeling more manly around women, because like I said, it goes back to that support. Like there might be some women who want a man that will take care of them, that can take care of them, but they still want to be independent and all that, but they want to be taken care of. So that, there's like a difference in sort of needs, like from that aspect, I think, in regards to what a man is, whether it's you want him to take care of you or you want him to be able to protect you, or all these things you push on us, and then it conflicts with maybe our specific needs. Like, I don't want to have to fight. Let's just, I don't know, call the cops or something like that. Right. But it might seem weak to other guys. This is why some of us are laughing. But at the same time, it's like we wouldn't bat an eye if a woman did that. And we're not like all born to be warriors and shit, or boxers.
Your safety matters. We're already living in a crazy world.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people need to understand, your safety matters. You have nothing to prove. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I think I don't want to say women play like the majority part, but I think women do play a part in a man like feeling like he has to do certain things in order to be called like a true man. Partially because, like you said, it's hard for a man to like do what he wants when his woman is like constantly telling him, "Oh, you need to do this. You have to go fight this guy because he slapped my ass." And it's like the chances of me doing that, like, obviously I'm gonna assert my dominance because I don't want no guy slapping my girl's ass. But at the same time, like, I don't want to fight every battle. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes tiring to constantly have to prove that I'm a man in order for you to feel comfort or feel like you're dealing with somebody who is worthy enough for you or something. Like I'm personally like a guy who doesn't really resort to fighting. I'm more so, I try to find other ways to deal with the situation. If it resorts, like if the last option is fighting, then so be it. But I've had a lot of women like who I was dating or talking to that was like, oh, you're not dominant enough, or you don't assert some form of, like yell at me or something if I'm doing something wrong. Like if I'm being a brat or if I'm being annoying, like put me in my place. And it's like, I had to learn over time how to do that, because I realized that as selfish as it is, like a lot of women need that from a man. So I was like, okay, maybe that's something I have to work on. But a lot of times, like, there'll be women who feel like I'm not gonna lie, some women, there's some toxic masculinity in women too. Some women will actually like start something with another man just so that her man could go fight him. And it's like, that's so toxic. Like, why would you start a problem that didn't need to be started? It makes no sense to me. Like, they will literally go, I've seen one girl, she literally flirted with another man and then told her man that this guy's annoying her. Can you get him to leave me alone? And it's like, but you initiated the problem. Yeah. Like, why would, and now I have to go fight this guy when in actuality, he's right. Like, he's not wrong. Like, if you're flirting with him, what did you think? Like, right. He was going to like ignore you? No, if he has the opportunity that's open, he's going to take it. So I don't know. I feel like women. I think a man being a man, like that's for his own journey to go through. But I do feel like in some aspects, like women do play a major role in how a man feels like he has to be in order to be like accepted into society. So,
Agree.
let me see. Okay, so my next question would be: is toxic masculinity? This is kind of a not heated topic, but it's a topic. Is masculinity or toxic masculinity the reason why women mostly wait for the man to shoot his shot versus them shooting? And I'm not saying all women. I know some women will shoot their shot with a man, but let's be real. More times than not, if a woman likes a man, she'll wait for that man to confront her instead of saying something. So do you feel like that's due to not all women,
No, no, no. Like,
but
do you think that that's masculinity, or do you think that's dominance? Like, which one?
well, I mean, I feel like dominance plays into masculinity, just because like when it comes to a man feeling like a man, the first thing he thinks about is dominance. Like, how am I going to be dominant in this
A
situation?
lot of
Whether
men like dominant women. Like, oh, like I like she came up to me. Like a lot of people like that, which is I don't know, but
yeah,
I think it's like more so courtship rather than masculinity. Like, and I think that really just stems from back to the history. Just that's just the way it was. Like males would pursue women, and I think that aspect of just like seeking a relationship hasn't really changed. And I think women just feel more comfortable being approached, being courted, because they have, I don't know, a lot of option. And just courtship is still something that resonates with a lot of women, I feel like. And and yeah, I think that also just goes back to just some dating stereotypes or cliches. Like if a woman comes up to a guy, back in the day, she was seen as, oh, she's frisky, she's a little slutty because she's approaching a guy. Women were seen as more timid, more submissive. So as a submissive person, you can't really be aggressive and pull up to a guy. So that aspect of society is still like deep rooted, I feel. So I don't think it's toxic masculinity so much as those factors. Although now that I'm talking about it, it might be because of that, because you know it was guys who established that idealistic women being submissive and will come to you.
right.
So I think it was toxic masculinity, and it's deep rooted in it. But I feel like women right now just prefer to be courted.
I feel like it's definitely courted too. I wouldn't even call it toxic masculinity. I feel like if women want to be dominant and you know you're gonna go after somebody that you want, then go for it. Like nothing fall on your lap these days. You know what I'm saying? So
Pun intended.
yeah, I don't I don't think it has anything to do with toxic masculinity.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it does. I think there's some form of it when it comes to that situation, but I don't think is a toxic thing. I think it's more like women like there are dominant women, but most women fall into the notion that, oh, he liked me and he was trying to pursue me and we ended up going out, we started talking blah blah blah. So like to switch the whole narrative because you like him is weird for them. So it like you said, it's uncomfortable. So it is more about the norm, like because more times than not, like when people ask you like, oh, how did you guys start dating, like people want to hear that the guy shot his shot with her, and like, oh, she denied him or something, but he kept pursuing her and she gave him a chance. It's like it would be weird if, oh, I liked him, so I shot my shot with him. Even though like nowadays I think it's more normal, or it's becoming more normal, that women are like, you know, being dominant and saying like, I want him, so I'm gonna ask him out. But back then it was more so like even if she liked him, she was gonna wait for him to say something. So, let me see. So my next question is, and it reverts back to like the first question I had. Why do you guys feel men are so eager to be dominant?
I feel like it's just something that's really just thrown at us. Both like gender roles, it's a concept for a reason because, that's just how it's been established. As a guy, these are this is how you're supposed to move. And we see it in like social media, we see it on TV shows back when we used to watch TV versus streaming platforms. But we see it on Netflix shows too. And I think now you're starting to see more men, I guess, shown on TV that aren't as masculine and aren't necessarily alpha. But I think that still growing up is part of, I guess, part of your upbringing as just from, okay, boy blue, girl pink type things. Boy played basketball, girl played tennis. I don't know. It's just like all these little things that you'd feel weird trying to navigate.
Yeah, definitely. Men are physically stronger, and they get more opportunities when it comes to like certain jobs like firefighting, police officer, you name it. Like they have the higher chance of being accepted in those type of fields. You know what I'm saying? And then again, when it comes to like physical strength, like, oh yeah, I lift way more than her. I bench like 415. She's benching like 135. You know what I'm saying? Max too. So stuff like for real, and stuff like that pushes them
Not
to
the
be
max.
dominant. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Physicality and dominance sort of, I'm not gonna say they go hand in hand, but it does play a definite role.
Right.
And I think really it stems really from sex. Like when you're having sex, someone's dominant, someone's being dominated, and you can switch or whatever the case may be. But because men are just physically stronger, sometimes bigger, most times taller, it's easier for them to dominate a woman versus the contrast. Like, ain't no woman ever just flip me around and shit.
Like I'm be honest.
I'm not having no
Until
girl
that
bring
shit
out no
happens,
whip.
I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it, but until I get flipped around, I'm like, I don't know.
I'm sorry, but if that happens, like I'm stopping it. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
time out. Like, you are that's a.
Nah,
It's not a turn off, but it's just like you.
it just different.
Whoa,
Yeah,
like you just flip me.
I'm not getting flipped. I'm not getting whipped. No,
Yeah,
that
like-
not happen. No.
Just pull a belt like, like
Right.
whoa.
Yeah,
Hold on.
yeah.
That's it's even like to a lesser degree. Like there be times where I'm like walking in the store, and she'll like smack my ass, and I'm like, yo, stop doing that. Like don't touch that area. Like that.
Yeah.
I don't even touch that area.
That
I
is
mean,
tough.
obviously to washing and
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like I don't smack my ass. Like that's weird.
I think that's the most interesting part of like masculinity, the uncomfortableness of certain things like that.
Yeah.
Especially like when we're amongst each other, or just like with certain things, like women are a lot more comfortable with each other than men are with each other. Although, men get along better with each other than women get along with each other.
Right.
But women, I guess, are more physical with each other. Like I think physical touch is a lot stronger within women and more innate than with men. But yeah, that's just, I was just rambling there.
Nah,
I don't know where I was going with that.
I agree with you though. I feel like a lot of men, like when it comes to men like having a group talk, like we'll talk about like sports, we'll talk about parties, we'll talk about like men stuff, but like when it comes to like, oh, how's your girlfriend? Like I'm not opening up to you about certain things unless she got me tight. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll be like, oh, show you crazy. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to like a natural, like emotional talk between men, like where it's uncomfortable. I'm not saying like no man's ever done it. Like I'm pretty sure there's men out there who like, if that's your boy, like you gonna make sure he's straight. But
Yeah.
more times than not, like if it's a guy like I just know, like I'm not gonna have an emotional conversation with you because it's not that like I can't do that with you, but it's more so like within me, like it just feels uncomfortable to talk to you or break myself down towards you.
Right.
Whereas like if I'm talking to like my girlfriend or my mom or something, it's easier for me to be a little more emotional because I know that that's like the Yeah, like that's the. I feel like for my mom and my girlfriend, like you understand more emotions than what a man would. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable because I don't feel like I'm not being a man by talking to you. Versus if I'm talking to another guy, like if I'm saying, "Yo, bro, like my heart is broken," but like that feels weird because it's like,
It's like you could
He
say
gonna
it
be like,
once
"What you
and
bitching
it's
for?"
like,
yeah,
all
like what you
Fuck
right.
outta
bitching for,
here.
man? Man up. Like it's like okay, like I don't want to talk to you about it because
You're right.
you're not going to understand me. But like
He's
my
not.
mom, like if I tell my mom my heart is broken, like, and I don't really talk to my mom about that stuff, but like if I say my heart is broken, she'll like, oh, what happened? What's going on? Like she'll be more understanding to that level because she's used to that level. So
Why why do you guys think that that's not a part of, well, not, I don't want to say toxic masculine, but regular masculinity in general? Like, why can't you be in tune with your feelings and still be masculine? Like, why does that take away from that? Like, why is that something that you think always is taken away rather than, you know, being a part of it? Because I would consider that being a part of your masculinity, because you're able to say, well, this is how I feel, this is when I feel it, and you know, like, I'm being able to admit that this is what I'm going through, and to your male friend, because in reality women know these things because they're usually more entwined with their feelings, but it's like men should be as well. You should be able to be like, oh, well, you know, as my friend, I confide in you, you know, as something that I'm probably sure you go through, like, I'm confiding in you, because most men don't want to talk about stuff like that. But in reality, they probably going through it and don't even know what to say or how to feel about it. And it's like, I know a lot of people who they would talk to like older siblings or older cousins or older people in their life, and they're like, well, you should be able to talk about that. Like, they're more comfortable talking to someone older and male rather than someone their own age, because in reality, men in that age group usually don't want to talk. But as an older person, you're like, okay, well, I've been through this, you know, like, this is fine. Like, this is something that you should be able to say out loud. So why do you think that that's not something that's a part of what we believe masculinity is?
So one, people fear rejection. You know what I'm saying? And two, they don't want to hear something that they don't want to hear at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, like, I tell you, yo, this girl's been like stressing me out. Like, she's telling me that I need to get up and do this and do that, and then next thing you know, you telling me, oh, forget her, fuck that. Like, go talk to somebody else. Like, she's just gonna, you know, drive you crazy, and you know that's not worth your energy. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I love that girl, and I want to hear a solution, like a positive solution.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear no, you know, negative thing like, oh no, bro, you could talk to like other girls. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Blah 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 blah. No, I need some like good talking. You know what
But
I'm
who
saying?
do you think that you would get that response from? Someone younger than you rather than someone older, where they're trying to give you that positivity? Does that?
I mean, that's a good question. It doesn't really matter
that's
who I
tough.
get it from, to be honest, as long as we have like the same like intentions, we're on the
Right.
same level. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just anybody that I would go to
No,
be
yeah.
honest. Like, I will obviously go to somebody that has like, 10 years experience with it, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
not anyone can, handle this type of talk, you know what I'm saying? But rejection, oh yeah, like, that's the big one right there. Like, people don't like rejection, so
Right.
they just, stay to themselves with that.
To piggyback off that, I think I agree. It's all rejection. I think it's on a bigger scale vulnerability. Like, just men aren't comfortable being vulnerable with each other, and that's because vulnerability isn't something that's really taught to men as a positive thing. It's more so a negative thing. And it's also a stereotype that women are very emotional creatures. So it's pushed upon men to rely on women for that exact need. So I think the combination of rejection, vulnerability, and the toxic, alpha male shit. I don't want to seem weak in front of you. I don't want to cry in front of you. I don't want to cry in general, because these are things that have been told to me are wrong as a man and feel wrong because I've been told that.
Right. I think the biggest And it goes back to, I think, the first question or second question I asked. I think it comes from, like you said, history. Um, like it's hard for a boy to talk to his father when he loses a basketball game or he um, gets rejected by a girl or something, because oftentimes fathers would kind of brush it off like, this is not important. You need to stop crying. Men don't cry. Like, I'm pretty sure every boy has heard that in his lifetime. Like, men don't cry. Um, and in turn, like, as we grow older, learning these lessons through our fathers or our uncles or even our grandfathers, like, you need to keep your emotions in check. You need to resort to fighting, or like, they don't give us, I feel like, okay, I don't blame my father or my grandfather for like telling me that men don't cry and you need to be dominant, because I do feel like in some sense dominance or just being like in tune with yourself or being like the alpha of yourself is a positive thing. However, I feel like our fathers averted to that source in the wrong direction. I think I see the intention. It was just more so, okay, but what happens when I'm going through an emotional outbreak? Like, if somebody is bothering me in school, instead of fighting, what is another solution that is positive? I feel like our fathers didn't know that answer, and so they resorted to what they knew from the past, which was fighting or wars. Um, and so while I can't blame them, at the same time, I feel like there should be another solution for a man to open up when things are going down or things are going wrong. Because at the end of the day, I feel like dominance, while it is a good thing in some instances, it's not always the best thing in every instance. And so there's not really another outlet for men to express themselves besides anger or rage. And so I feel like our fathers, like I said before, I don't blame them for the way they taught us, because I feel like it was a lack of knowledge on their part too. Like, they didn't understand what it was to be a man. And I still think to this day that there is no like definitive definition for what a man is, because it's still being like figured out each and every day. But at the same time, like, to Serena's question, it's hard for a man to be vulnerable, because we were taught that it's negative. Like, we didn't see it as a positive thing. And I'm pretty sure a lot of boys who wanted to be vulnerable at a certain point in time felt like they couldn't, because, our fathers would find out and we would get in trouble or we would get beat, because why are you being a girl? That's a girl thing.
I remember
So
when I was a kid, my dad would say, "Oh, what are you crying for?" Like, if I didn't get anything I wanted, or I received like bad news. "Oh, what are you crying for? What are you crying for?" It's like I was forbidden to do that.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? It's a learning experience that he told me that. You know what I'm saying? Because when I have kids, I don't think I would pass that on down to them, because I feel like it's important to hear them out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta talk to your kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's quality time.
Right.
Because what is a relationship without quality time?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, like, it's crazy that I went through that, but it's never too late to make some changes, and don't repeat history when you pass it on down to your kids. You know what I'm saying? It's all about evolution.
Right.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think a lot of these learning these tough love learning lessons that we got from our family growing up also just stems with like intersectionality. Like, as you mentioned, like, they're teaching you what they know, and especially as like Black people, emotion can be very damaging. So they want you to keep that in check as a man, because it can be very harmful to you.
Right.
And as far as just being tough, I feel like just growing in the Black community and everybody's going through it, you have to be tough. It's sort of a crab in a barrel mentality. That's how they see it. They want you to survive. They're not looking for you to be happy. That's a luxury. So in order to survive, don't cry. Get a job, do something with your hands, work it out, be a man. But now I think as societies get more woke, we have the luxury of teaching our kids and being more emotional with them
Absolutely.
and teaching them that it's okay to cry, it's okay to express yourself and all that. But
Right.
there's still going to be a like an element of, all right, keep your emotions in check in these scenarios, like around cops, around certain white neighborhoods and areas.
Absolutely.
Know how
Yeah.
to move. So I think like we're just going to teach our kids to know how to move versus just be tough and emotionally cut off.
I agree. I think I don't want to take away from like my father teaching me how to be tough, because at the end of the day it's still a valuable lesson, because especially as a black man you need that. Um, but it's like before, like it's not the only solution in every situation. Um, Sometimes, like you said, it is okay to cry, like let it out, you know. I remember as a kid there were times where I was angry about certain things and like I could feel it boiling inside, but like I didn't know how to release it besides like fighting. And then by the time I realized, or I'm like back to normal, I realized I caused so much damage that it's like I could have altered this situation by doing something different. And so sometimes it's okay to release it, just let it go, you know.
Right.
um but I like the point that you said, of like, you know, especially being a black kid in America, like, you know, there's certain times where like you have to keep your emotions in check, especially with cops, especially with, you know, like I don't want to offend nobody, but the white population. Um,
Yeah.
like sometimes your emotion can be damaging in those situations. Like if you, um, I don't want to say cry, but like,
You just get angry, to be honest.
yeah, if you get angry and you do something like, you know, that you may regret, like cops can use that. Same thing with white people. Like
Yep.
now they have like recording cameras and stuff where like you acting in the moment, you may feel like you got it out, but it could haunt you for the rest of your life. And so that's why I say like, even though our fathers like didn't teach us another solution, I feel like there are certain instances in my life where what he taught me, being a man, is kind of helped me in that situation. So it's not all bad. It's just I just wish there was another path that you taught me as well, so that, you know, I have multiple options in different situations. So, um, but my last question would be, what do you guys define as healthy masculinity?
Transparency. Um, Definitely transparency. Uh, Open-minded, open communication. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we're not here to attack one another. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? We're not opponents. We're teammates at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? There's no I in team. So I feel like people need to practice more transparency and practice more compromise, and everybody wins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. Great point. Great point. And just to add to that, I'd say just understanding what it is to be a man to you first, or what it is to be yourself, like a human outside of the gender topics and all that. Understand who you are in all forms. Like, I guess in this particular topic, in regards to your relationship with women, understand, what you like, what you don't like. And it's okay to have some things. If you like to be dominant, that's okay. It's just that level of toxicity of, having power over someone unhealthily is wrong. I think just having open communication with your partner and open communication with yourself, and really understanding if you do something bad, why, what is the root cause behind it, and trying to fix it. Just, understanding your emotional health. I think that's what's really helped me.
Right. I agree with both points. I think the biggest thing is just being vulnerable, being open, um, taking it in, and not reacting to every situation. Especially for, you know, guys who are in relationships. I know sometimes it gets hard, you know, like especially when your girl has an idea of who you should be versus who you actually are. Um, it gets hard, but I think, you know, just having that open communication, constantly trying to find different things to express yourself, or just realizing, like you said, who you are as a person, and not letting society kind of dictate who you're supposed to be, but rather figuring out what you like, what you don't like. If you're a dominant guy, if you're a submissive guy, um, if you're both in certain situations. So I think the biggest thing, like in terms of healthy masculinity, is just realizing who you are. Like, don't try to be something you're not. If you're a submissive guy, or not usually resorting to fighting, or just, well, dominance is not just fighting, but like you're just not a dominant guy. Like, don't let people say, oh, well, you have to be dominant, and then you try to go do something that you're not a part of, and then it turns out worse. And so I think just accepting who you're supposed to be and who you are is like the perfect masculinity, in my opinion. So
Agreed.
um well, to wrap up, you guys can promote yourselves.
People, you know the know. IG Sprint Specialist with 2 underscores after that. Follow my business page, The Millennial View, with an underscore after that as well. Twitter, Yo Sprint, YOW underscore Sprint.
Awesome, awesome, dope. I'll follow all of that content. You can find me at Casual Review on YouTube. As far as my IG, Sicko Network, SSICO Network. I mean underscore network. And yeah, find me in the city if I'm still here in a couple years.
That's a fact.
Yes, sir.
All right, so to wrap up, make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter _ we want more. Y'all can follow Serena's page at Read the Host, and you guys can also follow the show's page on Instagram and Twitter at TNTK Show. As always, thank you guys for watching the show.
That's all you need to know.
Bye, guys.